I'm encouraging you to stand this morning to worship however you feel comfortable. Raise your hands, clap along. We're going to worship together this morning. Blessed be your name, the land that is cleansed for the streams of abundant flow. Blessed be your name. And blessed be your name, when found in the desert place, or walk through the wilderness. Blessed be your name. Let's join our voices and sing every blessing. Every blessing you pour out, turn back to praise. When the darkness closes in on, still I will say, blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name. Show your hands. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your glorious name. Blessed be your name when the sun's shining down on me and the world's all as it should be. Blessed be your name. And blessed be your name on the road marked with suffering, for this pain and the offering. Blessed be your name. Every blessing you pour out, turn back to praise. When the darkness closes in on, still I will say, blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your glorious name. You give and take away. You give and take away. The heart will choose to say, well, blessed be your name. You give and take away. You give and take away. My heart will choose to say, oh, blessed be your name. Every blessing you pour out, I'll turn back to praise. When the darkness closes in, Lord, still I will say, blessed be your name of the Lord. Blessed be your name, Jesus. Blessed be your name of the Lord. Blessed be your glorious name. Blessed be your name of the Lord. Blessed be your name, Jesus. Blessed be your name of the Lord. Blessed be your glorious name. Amen.
Good morning, Ho.
Good morning.
Thank you all so much for coming and joining us this morning, and a big thank you to everybody that's joining us online as well. Make sure you look in your bulletin for stuff that's going on here at Hope other than what I'm going to talk about this morning. And the ministry table as well, we do have a lot going on that you might want to be aware of. In your bulletin, there is also a communication card. Make sure you fill that out so we know you were here, so we can get your information, so we can find you if we ever want to. There's also a spot there for how we can pray for you, so make sure you fill that out and you can put it in the offering at the end of the service. Our Hope Youth Ministries are at our 10 o'clock and 11:30 service. There's details on that in the bulletin. Next Sunday, June 4th, Juan is making lunch for us between all of the services, so make sure you bring your dollars and have lunch here with us. Our 24-hour prayer chain is May 30th and 31st. Make sure you sign up today for a 30-minute slot for praying out on the table in the fellowship area. And if you don't have a slot on the prayer chain, make sure you come Wednesday night to the 3 P's, pizza, prayer, and praise. I got them in the right order this time. So make sure you come to that if you can. It's a great time. You won't be sad that you made it to that, I promise. We're going to have a short meet and greet, so take just a moment and say good morning to those around you.
Let's sing that together. Here we go. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. See you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love. When we sing, holy, holy, holy. Open the eyes. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. To see you high. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love holy, holy, holy. Holy, 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 I want to see you. Let's sing that again. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, 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 I want to see you. To see you high. To see you high and lifted up. Shining in the light of your glory, oh, pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, 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 to see you high and lifted up. Shining in the light of your glory, oh, pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. Let's sing holy together. Lift our voices. Holy, holy, holy. Sing it out. Holy, holy, holy. God, you are holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. Amen.
My life just led me down the road so uncertain. Now I'm left alone. I am broken, trying to find my way, trying to find the faith that's gone. This time I know that you're holding all the answers. I'm tired of losing hope, taking chances on a road that never seems to be the one that brings me home. Give me a revelation, show me what to do, 'cause I've been trying to find my way, I haven't got a clue. Tell me, should I stay here? Do I need to move? Give me a revelation. Got nothing without you. Got nothing without you. Send me down the path instead of winding. Through every twist and turn, I'm always finding that I'm lost again. Tell me when this road will never end. Give me a revelation, show me what to do, 'cause I've been trying to find my way, haven't got a clue. Tell me, should I stay here, or do I need to move? Give me a revelation, got nothing without you, got nothing without you. Don't know where will I turn. Tell me when will I learn? Won't you show me where I need to go? Oh, let me follow your lead, 'cause I know that it's the only way that I to get back. Oh, give me a revelation, show me what to do, 'cause I've been trying to find my way, haven't got a clue. Tell me, should I stay here, or do I need to move? Give me a revelation, got nothing without you, got nothing without you.
No matter what my age, I'm still looking for a dream. War's already waged for my destiny. But you've already won the battle, and you've got great plans for me. Though I can't always see, 'cause I got a couple hits in my fender, got a couple rips in my jeans. Try to fit the pieces together, but perfection is my enemy, and on my own I'm so clumsy. But on your shoulders I can see I'm free to be me. When I was just a girl, I thought I had it figured out. You see, my life would turn out right, and I'd make it here somehow. But things don't always come that easy, and sometimes I would doubt. Oh, 'cause I got a couple rips in my fender, I got a couple rips in my jeans. I try to put the pieces together, but perfection is my enemy, and on my own I'm so clumsy. But on your shoulders I can see I'm free to be me, and you're free to be you. Sometimes I believe that I can't do anything, yet other times I think I've got nothing good to bring. But you look at my heart and you tell me that I've got all you see. Oh, and it's easy to believe. Even though I got a couple links in my fender, I got a couple rips in my jeans. I try to put the pieces together, but perfection is my enemy, and on my own I'm so empty. But on your shoulders I can see I've got a couple rips in my fender, I got a couple rips in my jeans. I try to fit the pieces together, but perfection is my enemy, and on my own I'm so clumsy. But on your shoulders I can see I'm free to be me. You're free to be you. Amen. We are free. Through this next song, our ushers will come forward to pass out communion. Feel free to participate in communion however you feel comfortable and at any time during that song or the next song. You can leave your communion cups wherever you like. The ushers will be by after the service to pick them up. As believers in the crucifixion and the resurrection of Jesus Christ, we are free to take communion with each other and with our Creator. We serve a God who loves us so much that He longs for us to know Him. He knows us better and more intimately than anyone. And He wants us to know that we are loved and that He is with us. And because of Jesus, we are part of God's forever family. As we take communion this morning, we remember the body and the blood of our Savior, Jesus, who He gave for us so that we can be part of God's forever family.
Find myself at a loss for words, and it's okay. Last thing I need is to be heard, but to hear what you would say. Word of God speaks, pour down like rain, washing my eyes to see Sure in this place, please let me stay and rest in your holiness, all of God's feet. Finding myself in the midst of you, beyond music, beyond noise, all that I need is to be with you. I'm never quiet. Hear your voice, word of God speak. Would you pour down like rain, washing my eyes to see your majesty? Be still and know you're in this place. Please let me stay and rest in your holiness. Word of God speaks. Would you pour down like rain, washing my eyes to see your majesty? Be still and know you're in this place. Please let me stay and rest in your holiness. Word of God speaks. Finding myself at a loss for words, never from you told me.
I encourage you to stand to the sound of your foot come up. As we sing, we lift our voices in worship to our God. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Holy, holy is He. Sing a new song to Him who sits on heaven's mercy seat. Let's sing that together. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Holy, holy is He. Sing a new song to Him who sits on heaven's mercy seat. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is and is to come. With all creation I sing praise to the King of Kings. You are my everything, and I will adore you. Golden rainbows, come living hope, flashes of glory, roses of blue. Let's bring my strength and glory and power be to you, the only wise King. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God it is to come. All creation I sing, praise to the King of Kings. You are my everything, I will adore you. With wonder, awestruck wonder, revelation of your name. Jesus, your name is power, reign in the water. Searching for its mystery. Yeah. Holy, 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 it's the Lord God Almighty. The world it is to come. All creation I sing, praise to the King of Kings. You are my everything, I will adore you. I will adore you.
Hey, Hope Church First Service, you glad to be here today? Yeah! Man, it's good to see all of you. I have a special announcement. Dave came to me a few weeks ago and said that he would like to take some time off. He has been leading worship. Major Groner! It's temporary. He came to me and he's been leading worship with us, what, 6 years? 7?
Amen.
6.5. He was with us on worship. And then he led for CNA for several years. So it's like around 10 years he's been worshiping. And that means you've got to practice on your own, and then you practice with the group. And band's ever changing. People move away, and he has to start all over. So it's a challenging thing, and he has a real job with a crazy schedule and a lot of stress. So I always tell our ministry leaders, I want you for the long haul. I don't want to burn you out. And so, of course, we said, yeah, take some time off. So he's going to be off for 2 months. That's the goal. But I want you to feel good about that. It's up to you. You know, this is your family.
We called it August.
No pressure. But the most obvious decision, me, the board agreed, and Dave agreed, is to have Gina lead these 2 months to lead the band. She's already leading with Dave. And these two have been together the longest out of Hope Rising. And God's blessing us with new musicians. And it's so cool because today we don't plan, okay, I want everybody to be gone and just 2 of us will lead or 1 of us will lead. We have a philosophy, whoever's there, that's the right combination. And it's pretty cool that it turned out to be just the 2 of them today because these 2 have really shaped our sound. When I was first here, I was praying in the cabin, God, we need ministry leaders. We need children's ministry leaders. We need a band. Rick Warren says the #1 determining factor of a church growth is your music. He says, if I could do it all over again, I'd pay more attention to music. You tell me what kind of music you have, and I'll tell you what kind of people you reach. And, he says every church has to find its own sound. And I listen to him because he's got one of the most influential churches in the world and impacted in a good way. Their sound's different than us. They kind of have what I call the old Jay Leno band. Remember that? That kind of stirred Southern California. So I was praying about our sound. And one of the things God said to me when I was praying is, you already have everything you need to be the body of Christ. Be the body of Christ with what you have.
Amen.
And before that, I had gotten musicians on Craigslist. And they were good guys, but some of them, bless their heart, couldn't get out of bed on time. We waited for a drummer, I think it was 5 or 10 minutes before we started one time. And I got this young girl, she was a great artist, and I love artists, but she liked to do her own material. So not only was I changing the tempo and rocking it, but we were doing songs nobody knew, and she was a shouter. You know how some vocals can really shout? She really shouted. And that's what I affectionately call the earplug era. And so I kept praying, God, I would do good the way you give me then. Instead, quit trying so hard. And then I'm talking to a band, a secular band. And the wife of the leader of the band told me, I know a Christian guy that's a really good guitar player. I go, really? And told me about Dave and where he worked, so I stalked him. I went there, and he came, and he said, I'll get those earplugs out. And he helped us find our sound. He brought in Gina, and look what's happened, I've been doing some reflection this week. On Friday, I said I'm gonna work on my private world. I had stuff in my office. A file drawer broke a couple months ago. Files everywhere. It's just like you're in the jungle trying to get in there. And I'm just gonna work on this. And so it's really cool to go through my files and look at stuff. And I found this little piece of paper. It's a stat report from September 2010, and it said one service, and it said 48. And I pinned that on the wall by my desk to remember, to motivate, keep going, just one more. I said all that, but Dave, you're one big reason that we are where we are. And we want you to have a good time off. I got something for you. And I want to say a prayer. Let's pray. God, I thank you so much for Dave and that you brought him. And I thank you for his philosophy. We don't go out feverishly trying to find people. We take who you bring, and you have brought some great talent. And I know you'll continue to do that, and you formed us who we are. Give Dave some great time off to just draw near to you and enjoy his great white depth, and then to have a little more margin in their life, God. And we want him back, but we want him healthy, and we want him to have a blast, God. So bless him. And thank you for Gina that she's here, and the great leader she is, and that she works good with Hope Rising and all these issues. I know she'll do a great job, God, and use us in this time, and we give you praise in Jesus' name. Amen. Thanks, guys. So there's a prayer chain sign up out there. Tuesday we're going to pray 24 hours straight, and there were 10 slots when I first got here this morning that weren't filled in, and then just now before I came in, there's 7 left. So if you haven't signed up, you get a 30-minute slot, you pray, someone will call you. Hopefully if they don't call you, you just start on time anyway. But usually that works. Every now and then we have to break in somewhere, but you pray for 30 minutes, and then after that, you call the person next to you. Tuesday morning, I will send out the list by email. Please make sure your email's on there if you're on the prayer chain so that we can get that to you. And then we gather here on Wednesday for the 3 P's, pizza and praise and prayer. It's a great time. Whether you're in the prayer chain or not, you're welcome to come, be a part of that fellowship. It's always some great worship. We'll have some musicians here to lead us. God always does something special when we draw near to him. Again, the Bible says, draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. I know that there's a sense that he's everywhere, but yet James says you can draw near to him, and he will draw near to you. So that'll be a great time, and hope you'll join us on that. It really ties into our message. This week I started a new meeting series. It's going to take a few weeks to bless your summer. And we're going to talk about summer fruit. Talking to my brother on the phone, he's out in Dallas, and he asked what I was teaching. Told him to start a new series. We're going to get fruity. He says, "Yeah, you're in California. Fruit's nuts out there." There's some luscious, juicy fruit in the summer. One of the things I love is some of you are really good gardeners, and you bring stuff to the church. I think it's awesome, and we benefit from that. And thank you for that. Fruit is refreshing. Fruit is the result of hard work. It's the result of a harvest. It's a positive thing. And I think sometimes pastors have this negative view of summer and think, well, everybody's running off and they're gone on vacation and attendance is down. We've actually had some summers. Remember, Tom, we had some that we went up in attendance and we grew. So you never know numerically. That's part of the fruit, numerical, but also individually in our lives is fruit. Whether we go up or down in our numbers and our attendance, you can have fruit and I can have fruit in our lives. Jesus taught about fruit, and we're going to look at that today in John 15. And then next week, we'll look at another text about kinds of fruit we can bear, and the same in the third week. It's a 3-week series. But in John 15, the point number one, there's this requirement. There's this requirement to remain connected to the lifeline. To bear fruit, Jesus says you got to remain connected to the lifeline. He said this in John 15:4. Remain in me as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. So we've got to remain in Jesus. And it's hard to understand what all that means when you first read it, but if you look at the context, everybody say context. You know, I had a great teacher who taught me, don't go jumping all over the Bible looking at all these verses to define what someone says first. Take time in the context, because a lot of times the writer will tell you what he means by his terms in the context. And when you look at the context, he says in verse 7, if you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish and it will be done for you. So there's this effective prayer. He tells the apostles they're going to have effective prayer, pray in his name. And you have prayed and probably seen answers to prayer like you had, but then there's been times maybe that you didn't get what you asked for, and I don't believe that means you weren't remaining in the vine. You were. You should continue to pray, and sometimes God says yes, sometimes no, sometimes not. Now he knows what is best. He told Paul, no, for my power, my grace is sufficient for you, when Paul had a prayer request that he talks about in Corinthians. But that prayer, that communication, I think sometimes we get legalistic. We're tempted to be legalistic about how many times do you pray, or how many times did I pray. And it's like, you know, I've got to talk so many times to my wife this week. Let me figure that out. Which includes, guys, a lot of listening, right? When you talk to your wife, well, they just have more words. It's proven. It's proven. You got to listen. You got to pay attention. And she's learned to go, are you listening? Oh, yeah. And no, it's a give and take. It's communication. Same with God. It's a relationship. It's not a legalistic plug in, plug out. This is how many hours I logged in today, this week, God. It's walking with him, isn't it? Remaining in him in prayer. There's verses that talk about praying without ceasing. I think it's talking to him when you're driving. It's thinking about him. It's a relationship. In verse 9, he says, as the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Now remain in my love. If you keep my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands and remain in his love. You hear that? So remaining in his words, remaining in his love, and talking to him as part of this remaining in him. Verse 12, he says, my command is this, love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no man than this, than to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command. I used to love Memorial Weekend or the celebration, but it's become much more special to me as an old dude, because greater love has no one than this, than one who lays down his life for his friends. We are so blessed because people have literally laid down their life for us. Amen. Let's give a hand for all our vets right there. I hope you will reflect on that this week and think about how blessed we are. I think it'll bless you, and it'll bless me if we'll spend time thinking and reflecting. And Jesus says, love is an acid test, and remaining in Jesus is remaining in prayer and communication and in love. If I say I know Jesus and have some head knowledge, but I'm not loving, I'm not remaining in his love. God is love. And sometimes I blow it. I get stressed. And then I'm not loving. I'm not remaining. I've got to go back to the source. I read this article online. It says the U.S. is the most overworked developed nation in the world. When do we draw the line? And it says that we as Americans work too many hours. If you don't believe so, I know some of you don't. That's right. Check out the following data points. According to the Center for American Progress on the topic of work and family life balance, in 1960, only 20% of mothers work. Today, 70% American children live in households where all adults are employed. I don't care who stays at home and who works in terms of gender. Work opportunity equality for all. It's a family choice. Either way, when all adults are working, single or with a partner, that's a huge hit to the American family and free time in the American household. The U.S. is the only country in the Americas without a national paid parental leave benefit. The average is over 12 weeks of paid leave everywhere other than Europe and over 20 weeks in Europe. 0 industrialized nations are without a mandatory option for new parents to take parental leave. That is except for the United States. At least 134 countries have laws setting the maximum length of the work week. The U.S. does not. In the U.S., 85.8% of males and 66.5% of females work more than 40 hours per week. According to the ILO, Americans work 137 more hours per year than Japanese workers, 260 more hours per year than British workers, 499 more hours per year than French workers. Yeah, that figure's right. Praise the Lord. There is not a federal law requiring a paid 66 days in the United States. The U.S. remains the only industrial country in the world that has no legally mandated annual leave. In every country, including except Canada and Japan and the U.S., which averages 13 days per year, workers get at least 20 paid vacation days. In France and Finland, they get 30, an entire month off, paid every year. Then there's places like Brazil that I visited there a couple times, and they take the whole summer off. Rich or poor, I don't know how they afford it, but they work it out. They go to the beach, and they have carnival. They work it into their lifestyle, the quality of their lifestyle. The writer goes on, I'm not telling you to work less hours if you genuinely love what you do and are doing it for the right reasons. You're more than entitled to spend all of your waking hours plugging away. But for many of us, more work leads to more stress and lower quality of life. Without time to unwind, take care of your home, spend time with loved ones, enjoy hobbies, connect with friends, and generally live a more balanced life. Stress is the #1 cause of health problems, mentally and physically, and there are few things that stress us out on a consistent basis like work does, especially when it takes away from other things that life has to offer. Amen? Amen. And so I just want to challenge you and me not to take this series as, I got to do more of this, I got to do more of that, but really to chill, to spend some time this summer to remain, to just go to the source of life and to have a quality of life. Number 2, there's a promise in John 15. He says, you'll get fruit through your life, in your life. If you remain in him, you will bear fruit. Verse 5, you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. What is that fruit? People have argued for centuries about what's the fruit? What's the fruit? And some say, well, it's the fruit of the Spirit. Others say, no, that's the fruit of the Spirit. What's the fruit of remaining in Jesus? And what is he saying to the apostles who are getting ready to start this mission? He's going to leave. And what is it? Some say it's disciples, reproducing. Some say, different things. If you look at the context again, you've got that effective prayer, he says to have. Remaining in me, and if you pray, ask whatever you ask will happen. There's a context of obedience to his commands. There's remaining in love for one another. There's in verse, later on, he talks about I'm sending you out to be a witness to the world, to testify about me, verse 27. There's experiencing his joy, he talks about in verse 11. I want you to experience joy. And in the same context earlier, 14:27, he says, I want you to have my peace. Peace. And so when you put all this together, one commentator says this suggests that the fruit includes obedience to Jesus' commands, experience of Jesus' joy, experiencing his peace, love for one another, and witnessing to the world. There's that reproduction, reaching out to others. So God brings the growth, but we can be fruitful in reaching out to others. The fruit is nothing less than the outcoming of persevering dependence on the vine, driven by faith, embracing all of the believer's life, and the product of his witness, according to D.A. Carson. I've always said it reproduces the life of Christ. If we abide in him, what he's going to do through me is what he did on earth. And look, the character and love, the joy, the peace, the outreach, all of those things are part of the fruit that he produces in our life. And I want to ask you, how's your joy level? Joy is different than happiness. Happiness is dependent on happiness. Joy is inward. It's not dependent on circumstances. You can be full of joy inwardly even when you're going through a difficult time. I know some of you have done that, have experienced that. How is it? How's your peace? I get nervous about us Christians when we walk around like we've been baptized in vinegar. I got the truth. I'm saved. I'm going to heaven. If you come join us, you can be like us. We should be full of joy according to Jesus and love and peace. I want to say a prayer for all of us right now about that. Let's pray. Father, if there's anyone right now going through a difficult time and not feeling that joy, help them right now. God, we commit each of us to remain. We're going to divine God. Jesus, give us joy in our life despite any difficulty. If there's someone not experiencing peace, God, give us peace. Your word teaches us to live out peace. And I know with family and health issues, concerns of the world, attacks from Satan, our own mistakes we make, the hurts we get from others, a lot of these things can steal our joy and our peace. But God, give us peace from you that can't be taken away. Right now, I pray through your Spirit to move among us. That we would go out of here radically full of joy, full of peace in our hearts. Help anyone that's worried about something going on to give it to you. To trust in you, God. In Jesus' name, divine. Amen. Then you've got a process going on. You got the requirement. You got the promise. The requirement, remain in the lifeline. The promise, you're going to have fruit, and you have this process taking place. I wish I could say it a different way, but it's pruning. Pruning for even more fruit goes on by the master gardener. Jesus says in verses 1 and 2 of John 15, I am the true vine, my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit prunes. He prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. I was reading from a person that they call them vine dressers that works in vineyards, and he says the first thing he does when he goes to a new work is he cuts all the vines to the ground. The second year, he cuts all the new growth. And the third year, he has this abundant fruit. Someone was asking, why all the pruning? And he said this, when the vines are pruned, they put down deeper and broader roots. And that leads the grapes to be better quality and quantity. And that's what happens sometimes when we go through a pruning. God allows certain things. Sometimes it's because of our own sin or mistakes. Sometimes it's because of the world or God. I don't believe he brings bad to you, but he'll allow us to go through some trials sometimes. Maybe discipline. It may be something going on in our life. And if we dig deeper, if we go deeper into him, we actually bear more fruit. I have seen people go through hard times. I know people in this church going through hard times who have grown in their faith. You see some who leave sad. That's so sad when they get mad and leave God, isn't it? Because God is love. Well, yeah, I got a difficulty. Like I always want to say, well, you're going to have difficulty anyway. You might as well do it with God in your life. And then I see others that dig deeper, and they go through some heavy, they're going through heavy stuff right now. Sickness, worry about their kids, health issues, finances, you name it. And yet, trusting in God, we go deeper and we bear more fruit. Michelangelo was asked how he sculpted the beautiful statue of David. And he said that he started with a block of marble and simply chipped away anything that wasn't David. And in the same way, our Father prunes us for His glory and for our best, sculpting out in us the image of Jesus as we learn to have this fruit in our lives, even through pruning. I would rather pass on the pruning and jump to the fruit, but I don't get to choose. And difficulties and suffering, a result of sin or storms in life, cause us to trust Him more. I probably wouldn't have went into ministry if my dad hadn't died at 43. It changed my whole view of life. What's the meaning of life? What really counts? What really matters? And you know, we go through some heavy stuff that God can bring good even out of bad. Amen? And He can produce more fruit. And it's a sign that God knows what you're going through, and He's working through your life. That fruit is. And the last point is proof and purpose. There's proof in our fruit, and there's a purpose for it. It's an identifying mark, and it's to the Father's glory. It's an identifying mark. The fruit of my life says I'm a disciple of Jesus, and it brings glory to the Father. John 15:8. This is to my Father's glory that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. There's a few places where Jesus gives identifying marks of a disciple. He says, if you love one another by this, all men will know you are my disciples. In John 8, he says, if you abide in my word, you're truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Here's an identifying mark. If we bear fruit, we prove, it's an acid test, that we are the disciples of Jesus. And if we're full of love and outreach and witness and testimony and forgiving and letting go of grudges and being filled with joy and peace, it's a proof in our life that we are believers. When I went to preacher school, some of you have heard me tell this story. I drove in there with a big old raised four-wheel drive truck, big old huge tires. They were so big that I had to hacksaw the fenders off. My brother thought I was an idiot, but anyway, they were big. All terrain, not just mud, snow, rain, all terrain. And I went there and big old beard and long hair and go to this Bible study. This big cowboy from Montana was leading it. He walked me out afterward. And I was really touched by all the love there. It is what I've been looking for. We walked out in the parking lot and he goes, I love you, brother. And if you're from Taft in the oil fields and a guy says, I love you, it makes you a little nervous. Wants to hug. And I remember thinking at night, and I remember, wow, that felt good. I love you. I'm going to start saying that. People say, well, don't say it unless you mean it. You know, I think you should say it till you mean it. Say it. Say it. Our words define us, you know. Say it before it's too late. And it was what I was looking for in my life, that love. And here's the thing about this proof idea, or this purpose. Did you know you have the ability to bring glory to the creator of the universe? Isn't that amazing if you think about it? We say, oh, to God's glory, glory to God. We just kind of, but if you think about it, you were created for His glory. The creator of the universe, who's always been, will be, all-knowing, all-powerful, is glorified by you. It doesn't matter what anybody tells you how bad you are, or you're not smart enough, or you're not good enough, or you're not. Your Father in heaven is glorified by you. Just how you are, as you bear fruit in your life of love and joy and peace and reach and witness. And God is, He's lifted up. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, really, when you think about it, right? We should live for an audience of one. Paul said in Colossians 3:15, let the peace of Christ rule Rule means rule, reign. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. Since as members of one body, you were called to peace. And be thankful, he tags them. I hope you get some time this summer, and I will too, that we will not just be so hurried and stressed that we don't have joy and peace reigning in our heart. Paul also wrote in 2 Thessalonians 3:16, now may the Lord of peace himself give you peace at all times. Everybody say all times. All times. All times. I mix that up sometimes. I think it's just when things are going like I want, and when they're going good, and everybody likes me, and I'm patting myself on the back. All times means even when things don't go like I want them to go. And you have peace. The Lord be with you all. There are joy robbers every day, no matter what's going on, every day. You know, I love the quote, Jesus loves you and everybody else has a plan for your life. I want to give you a word to help you this summer to find this fruit. You ready? It's called no. You have permission from your pastor to say no. People will try to guilt trip you, push you. If you are remaining in line, you're doing the right thing. I hope you can find time for that, some margin for that this summer, and have the best summer ever. Let's pray together. Father, I pray again for this body of believers that you bless me to work with. I pray for all of us to think about your goodness right now, to think about how you're a God of love. And you're not an angry creator up there ready to zap us if we don't get it right. You are a loving God full of grace and mercy, and you love us unconditionally. God, thank you that we can have peace. We have peace with you, and we can have peace with others. Even those who are mad at us, we can release them from our hearts, any anger, and we set a captive free ourselves. That doesn't mean we're saying everything's okay, whatever they're doing is wrong. It means we're giving it up for you to work in their lives and for us to walk with you. God, I pray for the most joyful church in the world. I pray for a radical, joyful church on this mountain. I don't care how cynical this world is, how critical it is. I pray that we are so full of joy that no one can stop that fruit from our life. And when we get guilt-tripped or manipulated by others this week, this month, this summer, help us to remember you. You're a God of grace. And to live for an audience of one. Dig down deep and find. Let your fruit be produced in our life to your glory. In Jesus' name, amen. Let's stand and worship God. Sing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see so clearly. Hallelujah, grace like rain falls down on me. Hallelujah, all my sins are washed away, they're washed away. That's all my heart to fear and grace. My fears relief. How precious is that grace appears beyond my first belief. bright shining as the sun. We go, let's sing to sing your praise. And when we first begun, hallelujah, praise like rain, fall down on me. Sing it out. Hallelujah, all my sins are washed away. Hallelujah, praise like rain, fall down on me. Hallelujah, all my sins are washed away. They're washed away. Amen.
Hey, let's get up one more time today. Now it's time to pray for our offering. Father, thank you for all our blessings you give cheerfully. Make us a force of hope on the ridge and beyond that brings you glory. In Jesus' name, amen. Hey, what is our purpose? How do we do that?
Love God, love people.
So remember, every single day this week, in Christ, we always have hope. Thanks for being
Alright, these are our girls today. So clap your hands. Here we go. All things right, and beautiful you are. All things right, and wonderful you are. In my darkest night, you brighten up the sky. Song will rise. I will sing a song of hope, sing along. God, heaven come down, heaven come down. Just to know that you are near is enough. God, heaven come down, heaven come down. All things new, and I can start again. Creator God, call me your friend. Sing a praise, my soul, to the maker of the sky. The song will rise. I will sing a song of hope, sing along. God in heaven come down, heaven come down. Just to know that you are here is enough. God in heaven come down, heaven come down. Oh, sing a song of hope, sing along. God in heaven come down, heaven come down. Just to know that you is enough. God in heaven come down, heaven come down. Right, here we go. We're gonna sing some hallelujahs. You ready? Hallelujah, sing. Beautiful. Let's do it again. Here we go. Hallelujah, sing. One more time. Hallelujah, sing. Sing a song. I will sing a song of hope, sing along. God, heaven come down, heaven come down. Just to know that you are here is enough. God, heaven come down, heaven come down. Oh, sing a song of hope, sing along. God, heaven come down, heaven come down. Just to know you can be loved is enough. God, heaven come down, heaven come down. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah? I'm ready to come to some. What's your memory? Well, yeah, I'm ready to just go to Freitas just because it's right.
One thing, and this would be fine for that. Hey, have a great afternoon. Absolutely, I'd love to help.
How will I know if it's a cricket dream? And there's the Marshall. Good morning, Marshall.
Just checking you out, making sure you're good. How are you? Morning, Gal. Good morning. How are you? I usually sit right here in this row. Yeah, I woke up early this morning and then I said, no, this is too early, I'll go back to sleep for an hour. And I kind of rested a little bit, and half an hour I thought, well, I can go back to sleep. And I just turned it on. So I got lost. Hello. Where's the sheriff? Oh. I had a great room job. How are you? I'm Joy. So where are you going to sit? You did. You sure did. Yeah. Morning, hi. How are you? I make sure you're out in 1 or 2 hours. Do it anywhere. James. Oh,
Good morning, guys. How are you? Oh, I'm in. I'm good for Larry. I mean,
Had I not remembered this, I'd have forgotten.